Hi there and welcome to our very first lecture in which I will explain how to print to the console using Python. So to begin, I want you to open your browser and head over to this website, which is repl.it. So this is a website which provides code editors for different programming languages. So in our case, we are going to use it for Python. So click on Start Coding and from the list select Python. Then you need to create REPL. Once you have done it, you should see something like this. Now notice it up over here that I've got anonymous over here. So this means that when I close this REPL, I will not be able to save it in a place that I will be able to get easily back to it. So if you want to save the work that you are doing, I recommend you signing up to the RepLite. So it's completely free. You don't need any credit cards or anything else for registration. So now I want you to pause the video and create your free Replit account. Once you are signed in, you see that your name appears over here and you can go over here and change the description of and the name of your Replit. So in our case, I'm going to change it to printing to console. Now once you have done that, let's go ahead and walk through some different parts of Replit that you will be using throughout my lectures. So first, on the left hand side pane here, you get some files and you see that the current file is main.py. So that's open file. So when you click on this file over here, you see the code that inside this file over here. Now you can create new files or new folders over here to organize your project very easily. So we will use these parts in our upcoming lectures to organize our project very well. Now another useful part of left hand side pane is this part, which is showing the settings. Now when you click on this setting, you see that you can change the layout, you can change the theme from dark to light or from light to dark. So I always prefer dark because it's very good for our eyes. So, and the font size, you can change it from tiny to large. I advise you to change it to large because it's more readable. And the others, you can change it based on your needs. Now, after finishing it, you can click this settings button and close this and to have more space over here for writing code. And in this area, which shows the main.py, you will write your code. And all of your code is going over here. And once you have done writing your code, you can click Run button over here. And the output will come up over here on the console on the right hand. Now, another cool feature of Replit is it creates a website address for your console over here. So once you have done with your project, you can copy this link from here and send to your friends or someone else to share your projects with them. So this is a very nice feature to share our project with others. So these are the main features of Replit. Now let's get started our coding. Now remember that the whole reason why we are learning to program is able to tell the computer what it needs to do. And it needs to follow our commands. So let's go ahead and tell the computer to do something. We are going to do that by writing our first line of code. So in this case, I'm creating something called print function. So here I'll just type print over here. This function has just print keyword and all of them in lowercase and then followed with the set of parentheses. Now inside these parentheses, I'm going to tell what I want to do print. And it's going to print whatever I put over here to the console over here. And I'm going to start off by writing the classic hello world inside over here. So I'll write hello world. Now after writing it, if I click run, after a few seconds, you see that hello words appear over here. And this orange arrow over here indicates that it has finished running off this code from the left side. So with this sign, you can identify that your code has been finished running. Now the way that this print command works is super simple. You have the keyword print followed by a set of parentheses, and inside parentheses, you tell what you want to print. And once you have inserted that, and then when this line of code executed by the computer, it will know how to simply print the thing that you have placed in between the parentheses. Now here, you might notice that I have not just added hello world over here. I've also added some quotation marks, which are double quotation marks around the verb. So the reason why I have done this, I can tell the computer that this text between double quotes is not code. This is just the text and I want to print out this text. So if I remove the last double quote from here, so now you can see that something happened to our code. Namely, the last parenthesis color changed from white to brown. So this is one of the great features of code editors, which gives us hint and clues that tells us what might we have done wrong in our code. Now, if you run our code like this, it will break and it will give us syntax error. Now, when we receive an error, the question that comes to everyone's mind is, how can we figure out what this error means? Now, the important thing I want you to know is that all programmers make mistakes. All of us make lots of errors like forgetting quotes, forgetting adding the closing parentheses and everything else. And these things are just common errors because we are human. So you can imagine coding like a whole bunch of problems that you have to solve. Now, in this case, when you get some red text on the right and your code is not doing what you are expecting it to do, then all we have to do is take this entire error message and simply drop it to Google. So I'll just copy it from here and open and drop it in the Google. So after searching on the Google, usually the first link you come across will be a website called Stack Overflow. Now in this case, you see that it's a different link. Now here you need to go to the Stack Overflow. Whenever you see the link which starts with the Stack Overflow, it's advisable to click on that link. This basically QA website that all developers will go to whenever something is wrong with their code. Now if you click this link over here, we see that same error happened to someone and some other developers answered here. Now if you check the answer, you see that if you see this sign over here, it means that this is the most relevant answer. Now if you check the answer, it says that you are not putting a double quote before the end of the line. So if you look at back our code, you see that we are missing the double quotation at the end of this string over here. So if you put double quotation over here, you see that the color of the parentheses is changed to white. So as we are learning the code throughout this lecture, I want you to be very careful about the color of your code, because one of the most helpful things that the code editors do for us is called something syntax highlighting. As I mentioned before, for example, when we miss the double quotation, the color of parentheses change to brown. So if we change it to brown, when we put it, it changes to white. So this means that from the coloring, you can identify that you did something wrong. And indeed, if you look at this error message over here, it actually has a little caret sign right here showing that there is something that is probably not right over here. Now it might remind you that you have forgotten closing the double quote over here. Now we have put the double quotation over here. If you run our code, you see that everything comes back to normal. So this is all for this lecture. So in this lecture, I have tried to explain you how to use the print function. And we have learned that by using code editor's great features, we can identify our errors easily. So if we come up across any error, we can copy it, just search on Google. And the main website that we are going to look is Stack Overflow. So this is the end of this lecture. So hopefully you have enjoyed the lecture. See you in the next lecture.